Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have one of the most ridiculous shows that we've produced in a while. But before we even get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about that damn Scottie Pippen, man, because I don't even know what the hell is going on, to be quite honest with you. So yesterday, we produced a show on our channel that was centered on some comments that the director from The Last Dance had made recently that was basically based on the NBA banning certain footage out of The Last Dance docuseries. The docuseries that dropped in 2020. They thought it was some distasteful comments that Scottie Pippen had made about former general manager Jerry Krause of the Chicago Bulls. If you guys didn't see that show, you should check it out. We just produced it just yesterday. So Scottie Pippen has been on our radar. Every once in a while, he comes on our radar. So this morning, I was just searching. I'm like, let me see what's popping. Let me see what's happening with Scottie Pippen. And then I came across a video, right? And it was a video of him just a few months ago going on the Today Show. I believe it's an Australian show. And I think this was during the tour, No Bull Tour or something like that, around that time, where some former Chicago Bulls were basically going to come out and, you know, tell it like it is and take us behind the scenes, because The Last Dance apparently did not do that, right? So during this interview that was conducted just a few months ago, they're talking about the Last Dance and all of that. And then I believe one of the hosts basically asked Scottie Pippen, so he's like, so Scottie, now that we're talking about it, in your mind, who is the greatest player of all time, right? And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, because I'm like, I know Scottie has said some pretty wacky stuff. So I'm like, I wonder what he's going to say now. So for those of you who didn't hear what Scottie Pippen had to say in terms of who he believes is the greatest player of all time just a few months ago, we want to play that for you now, and then we're going to come back and react to Scottie Pippen's comments. Take a listen to Scottie Pippen here.
Do you know, I lived and breathed the Chicago
Who
Bulls
didn't?
in real time, right? And then The Last Dance brought it all back. What was it like for you to watch that incredible documentary series?
I thought it was special. I thought it was a special moment for us to really relive some of the greatest time in basketball history, and more so have an opportunity to see what team basketball was like. And I think during the pandemic, everyone sitting home, it was more like an educational tool to let people see how great the game can be if it's played the right way, and if there's sharing of the basketball. There's unlimited things that you can achieve in a game of basketball, and we were able to win 6 titles over a decade, and that's a pretty high accomplishment.
People hate comparisons, and especially over different eras. But from where you were standing and playing, was Michael the best or the greatest ever?
For sure. I mean, you look at the MVPs that he was able to achieve, but I think it was all brought from us being successful as a team. Obviously, someone is going to bring those accolades home, but yeah, he was the greatest player, definitely in basketball.
I started getting so upset.
So you heard what Scottie Pippen said, right? Scottie Pippen said that Michael Jordan is the greatest, right? Now, some of you may be watching this and say, well, I would agree with him, but there's a problem. There's a problem. Because Scottie has been flip-flopping on this issue for years now, right? There have been a bunch of people he's believed to be the GOAT. As a matter of fact, there was a sit-down that he had, I believe it was 2 years ago, on ABC 7 Chicago. And I believe he was talking to Michael Strahan, and I think at that point, I think he had a book that was coming out or something like that. So they're talking about his career and all of those different things. And then he gets to the very end and he goes, Scottie, I got to ask you, who's the greatest player of all time? You guys won't even believe who Scottie Pippen said the greatest player was 2 years ago. Take a listen to Scottie Pippen telling you who's the greatest player of all time 2 years ago. Take a listen to that.
1994, there was an issue during a game where Phil Jackson wanted you to inbound the ball instead of take the last shot. And he deferred the last shot to Tony Kukoc. For years, you said Phil Jackson is a racist.
I felt like that I had earned my right to take that last shot. I felt like he disrespected me. at that moment.
Looking back on it after all these years, you don't feel that way about it.
When you're a player and you're in the heat of the moment, those things go through your mind. But now that it's over, I've had a lot more great times with Phil than I did bad times. And that's why I say that.
Pippen's career in the NBA would last 17 seasons, and he'd be named one of the 50 greatest players in NBA history. He retired in 2004. A year later, the Bulls retired his jersey.
That was a special moment for me. It just, shows the hard work that I had put in and, the belief that I had in myself.
And it's amazing how fast it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's,
like that.
Yeah.
So you heard Scottie Pippen. In that soundbite, ladies and gentlemen, Scottie Pippen said with a straight face that, well, not a straight face, he was smirking actually. He said that I'm the greatest player of all time. What are we supposed to be saying about this right now? What are we supposed to think about this? A few months ago, Scottie Pippen is saying that Michael Jordan is the greatest. Then, 2 years ago, he goes out there and says he's the greatest. But then it doesn't stop there. It didn't stop there. Scottie, for whatever reason, and I don't know why he's doing this or he's been doing this, Scottie has been flip-flopping on this issue for years now. He just finished saying that the guy is the greatest. But 3 years ago, this is basically after The Last Dance dropped, Scottie Pippen went on a smear campaign against Michael Jordan in ways that I think shocked many of us sports fans. And his initial salvo was when he went on the Dan Patrick show 3 years ago. He went on the Dan Patrick show. The Last Dance, I think, had just come out, or people were still talking about it after it had been out for a few months or something like that. And Scottie came on that show. He seemed pretty annoyed. He seemed pretty upset at some of the questions, like he was begrudgingly answering some of the questions Dan Patrick was giving him. And then out of nowhere, he goes into this tirade of how Phil Jackson is a racist and, Michael Jordan was basically controlling the cameras and all of these different things. Now, some of you be like, man, 3 years is a very long time. I don't remember what he said. For those of you who don't remember what Scottie Pippen said 3 years ago, take a listen to him here talking about Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson, who he deemed to be racist. Take a listen to that.
Help me understand the GQ article where you talked about the 1994 playoff game when you refused to go back in the game and Phil set up the play for Tony Kukoc.
Well, I mean, it's not much to be said. If you go back and look at when Scottie Pippen entered the Bulls and when Tony Kukoc entered the Bulls and who deserved the last shot of the game.
No. I understand that, Scottie. I'm just going by what you said. You said you need to read between the fine lines. And then you go on to say it was a racial move to give him, Tony Kukoc, a rise. So,
well, I mean, if you knew that Scottie Pippen had been with the Bulls from 87, battled through the Pistons and every other team that we had to get to those 3 championships, wouldn't you give Scottie Pippen one opportunity to get a last-second shot without Michael Jordan? Like 1 year without Michael Jordan. Can I get one shot? Like, I'm doing all the dirty work.
But all of that I understand from the basketball standpoint. But when you say a racial move,
well, why would Tony, who was a rookie, get the last-second shot and you put me out of bounds? That's what I mean, racial. Like, that was Scottie Pippen's team.
But
Scottie
Phil
Pippen
then
was on pace to be an MVP that year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why would you put him in a position not to be successful? Why wouldn't you put him in a position to succeed? Michael Jordan is not there. So who's next in line for you?
But have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
Do you think Phil was or is?
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you remember Phil Jackson left the Lakers, wrote a book on Kobe Bryant, and then came back and coached him? I mean, who would do that? You name someone in professional sports that would do that, you know? I think he tried to expose Kobe in a way that he shouldn't have. You're the head coach, and you're the guy that sits in the locker room and tells the players, this is a circle, and everything stays within the circle, because that's what team is about. But you as the head coach, open it up, and now you go out and you try to belittle, at that time, probably one of the greatest players in the game.
Well, it feels like he's disloyal. I don't know if that makes him a racist.
Well, that's your way of putting it out, and I have my way. I was in the locker room with him. I was in practices with him. You're looking for him afar.
Yeah, and look, that's why I wanted to have you on. But I go back, and Phil designed a play for Steve Kerr when Mike was there. And Mike didn't have a problem with that, did he?
I don't understand. You're not setting me up to answer the right question. What do you mean Phil set up a play for Steve Kerr? He didn't set that play for Steve Kerr. He set that play for Michael Jordan.
I thought in the huddle, Mike says, I'm going to throw you the ball. You'll be open at the foul line. And Phil had nothing to do with that?
And you don't want to get this show started because it'll take us a long time. Do you know all those cameras that's sitting in that huddle, who they was working for?
The NBA.
So you know who Michael was speaking to when he said that, right? that was planned. That was speaking to the camera. That wasn't speaking out of what we're going to have to do, what the play is going to be. That was speaking to the camera. Had John Stockton not came down, trust me. But that was building his own documentary because he knew he was controlling the cameras.
You heard what he had to say. But if you listen to him in the Michael Strahan interview, he said that time has gone on. Time has gone on, and me and Phil have had some great times together. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, you said this a few months ago. What new great times have you been having with Phil Jackson that all of a sudden made you change your position on whether or not you thought he was a racist person? And the funniest thing was, Scottie Pippen is the only person I have ever heard say that Phil Jackson is racist. Phil Jackson has coached players like Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Pau Gasol, all of these guys, Ron Artest, all of them, Shaq, and I never heard any of them at any point say that Phil Jackson is a racist. But he believes that he's a racist for electing to put Tony Kukoc ahead of him in a game that he basically staged a mutiny, right? He staged a mutiny, but it doesn't stop there because the kicker just comes in right now. Why? In these series of audios we played for you, you've heard Scottie Pippen refer to Michael Jordan as the greatest. You've heard him refer to himself as the greatest. But 6 years ago, he went on ESPN First Take. This was when Max Kellerman was there. And he dropped a bombshell where he went on that show and basically said that LeBron James had surpassed Michael Jordan already, causing Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman to just basically lose their damn minds on TV. For those of you who don't remember Scottie Pippen, yes, on TV saying 6 years ago that LeBron James had already surpassed Michael Jordan. I'm going to play that for you now and give you guys our closing thoughts. Take a listen to this here.
Scottie Pippen, you would know better than anyone. How close is LeBron to catching Jordan?
The numbers don't lie. He's right there. He probably will never catch him in terms of MVP.
Okay.
But in terms of statistics, LeBron is right there. And when you look across the board, not just scoring, check his assists, check his rebounds, he's probably ahead of Jordan.
Oh, my God!
What?
I don't want to throw this water on you. Let me tell you, Scottie Pippen.
You went there.
Hurry
up, 'cause I got to get in here on that one.
Blasphemy that just
God.
came out of your
Max wants to get in this.
6 NBA
Max, are you
finals,
listening to
6
this?
NBA finals, 6 NBA finals MVPs, undefeated, never even allowed the Game 7 to take place. You're going to do it. And by the way, speaking about numbers, you lucky I don't have more time with you. You lucky.
You are.
I'm looking at a dude that averaged just 16 points per game for his career on 47% shooting. Who would that be? You!
Yes.
And by the way, you're one of the greatest ever. It ain't just about numbers, and you know it. And last question. Can you tell me, other than scoring points and obviously shooting more, what does LeBron James do any different than what you did?
All right, look.
Go ahead, Max.
Scotty, I'll make
Max.
this real easy. Stephen A., we heard from you. I want to make this real easy. All the advanced metrics say Jordan's peak better than LeBron's peak. His career average better than LeBron's career
answer
average.
you, Stephen A.
All that stuff.
Let's
now
hear
check
Max.
this out, Scotty. Now check this out, Scotty. He didn't play with an all-star his whole career, so he didn't win it. He didn't get past the Pistons. The first time he played with an all-star, his name was Scottie Pippen. You took the Pistons 7 games. You couldn't play in Game 7, so they beat you. The next year, you hit your prime. All the stats say you hit your prime. And Michael Jordan, never again in a full season on the Bulls, didn't win the championship in under 7 games. As soon as he got a crew, no one gave him any cops, Scotty, and you were the crew originally. LeBron's not messing with no MJ.
So you heard him there. There he was saying that LeBron James was the greatest. Right? 6 years later, he's saying Michael Jordan is the greatest. And in all of that, Michael Jordan hasn't played basketball in the last 20 years. So go figure. Maybe something new happened. I don't know. I don't know what's next. Maybe next time if they ask him the question, he's going to say Marvin the Martian is the greatest player of all. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Look, this Scottie Pippen thing is something that has disappointed a lot of sports fans. I think before producing the show, I read a comment from one of our viewers who wrote, Scottie Pippen used to be one of my favorite, or was my favorite Bull, Chicago Bull of all time. He is no longer. I think there's a lot of that sentiment that is kind of percolating out there, where I think Scottie disappointed a lot of his fans and Chicago Bull fans and sports fans, to be honest with you, basketball fans, because the 90s is viewed as the golden era in the NBA. And a lot of people hold that Chicago Bulls dynasty near to their heart, right? It's like, it's the golden era of basketball. You have Michael Jordan, you have the shoes, you have the Bulls, you have all of that. And a lot of people would say that was probably the greatest dynasty in NBA history. You can make an argument. And to see how it has fallen apart over the last, 20 years, ever since the release of the Last Dance docuseries, I think has been disheartening to a lot of fans. If you look at the way Scottie and Michael Jordan were always in public together, you would think that they were great friends. So to see Scottie come out and go on the offensive on the Dan Patrick show was something that blindsided a lot of fans. And then to see some of the things he's been saying after that, I think it has turned off a lot of his supporters and Chicago Bulls fans. I mean, at one point he was saying Michael Jordan was a horrible basketball player. Like that's crazy talk. It's crazy talk to say that Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan is really the main reason we're still talking about Scottie Pippen today. And then to turn around a few months later and then ago and then say, well, he's the greatest player of all time. People are now sitting back and wondering, what is going on with Scottie Pippen? Like, what is really going on with Scottie Pippen? Right? I don't know what to say. And then, of course, we have the part of Michael Jordan's son and all of that, which just made the thing even messier, right? Which just made it even messier. But after listening to this, I can only sit back and wonder, like, where did all of this go wrong, right? Where did all of this go wrong? Because a lot of people have been saying that Scottie's been walking around with a lot of bitterness. He's holding on to a lot of jealousy. And the irony in all of this is you don't get any of that from MJ. I think MJ was genuinely hurt by the things that Scottie Pippen said, and Stephen A. Smith said as much. But if you look at Michael Jordan, he's living his life. He's living his life. He's with his wife. They're traveling all over the world. Every time I see them, they're partying in Italy on his yacht. He's in Monaco. He's going there. He's going there. He's living his life. He's enjoying his life, right? I think Jordan's 60 or something like that. He's enjoying his life, right? And then to be at that age, kind of living with that amount of bitterness, it's really sad to see. it's really sad to see, especially when you look back and look at the success that these guys were able to achieve together. It's really, really sad to see that at the end, this is really what it all amounted to. It's very sad, very sad. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.